Hey guys, what's up? What's going on? Welcome back to my channel. For today, we are doing a tutorial and review on the new Urban Decay Naked Skin Shapeshifter in medium dark. This was something that I had no intentions on buying. I saw the promos for it. I saw Jordan Liberty, who is an awesome makeup artist. I love him so much. He's so talented. I saw him using this on a very, very beautiful dark chocolatey model, and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so beautiful. I was in Ulta the other day, browsing around. I was restocking because I'm in the middle of bridal season. I've just been going back to back every weekend with weddings, so had to restock on some stuff, and I came across this gem here and I saw it and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Walked by it, swatched it, and I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, I have to pick this up. This is awesome. I used this on a few brides that I've had already. I've used this on other clients, and so far so good. I want to show you guys how I use it on myself. First, let me show you what it looks like. This is the packaging. Really sleek and cute. On one side here, you have creams. So you have cream contour. This can be used for highlighting. Then you have these two color correctors, and then you have a cream highlight. And then once you flip it onto the other side, you get powder. So you have two shades for contour, the yellow for brightening under eye or whatnot, and then you have this beautiful highlighter here. I'm not a highlighter junkie, but I was thoroughly impressed with this highlighter right here. So before we get into it, I wanted to just kind of compare this to a few other things that I have. So here I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills, which obviously, you know, you can tell the pan sizes are bigger in this one and you do get way more product. But here you have 3 contour shades, and you have some peachy tones here for, this like peach orangey tone here for correcting, and then you get 2 better alternatives as far as highlighting goes. So you have this one, Anastasia, I think this is 40 bucks. And then for the powder side here, I'm just comparing it to the Tarte Makeupshayla. This palette is no longer available. This was limited edition, but this is very similar to this. The only thing that the Urban Decay does not have is a blush, and I can kind of understand why, because this is just solely focusing on the contouring and highlighting side of things. So I'm going to do my best to use everything that's in the palette so that way you guys can see it. I'm going to take this orange tone here. I'm just going to dip my finger in, and I'm just going to use this to correct on my darker areas. I love to use more of a peachy orangey tone on women of color that have any dark spots or hyperpigmentation. And I'm using my finger just because the warmth from my finger is really going to help blend this product out. You don't want to put too much on, because what happens if you put too much of the color corrector on, it will be very nearly impossible to blend everything out. Alright, so I put on the black Radiance Bb cream in chocolate, and then I used the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer in Cocoa. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and dabble into the cream contour. I'm not a contour junkie myself. I prefer bronzing over contouring, but like I said, that's just perception and your preference. So I'm just going to take a concealer brush here, and I'm going to, now you can see just how rich the shade is. And I like this contour shade because it's smack dab in the middle. It isn't too cool. I feel like sometimes on me, if I go too cool, it can just make me look gray and flat and ashy. I know the point of contour is to make shadows. However, on my skin tone sometimes it doesn't really look that great. So I like more of a neutral tone, and then if I go too warm, it'll look like a bronzer instead of a contour. So I'm just going to take a damp sponge here and blend this out. This blends so easily. This is definitely much easier to blend out than the Anastasia Beverly Hills cream contours. I do like those, however, I have to work way harder. I have to mix those with a oil just to kind of, you know, get them to blend out properly. So this is definitely less. And if I do contour my face, I don't do anything that's like too structured and chiseled, because again, you know, it's just my preference. So you guys can see that right there. And also with cream contouring, takes a little bit more blending time, but it looks the most natural. And I do not put creams on my nose just because I don't like a super strong nose contour. I just put a little powder on my nose. Alright, so we have all the creams on. So far we have used the orange color corrector and the contour. This shade here is the only shade in the palette that's kind of got me like, what exactly am I supposed to highlight with this one? I mean, this is super, super light. I would not, this is how it swatches. Like that looks super ashy. So that is the only shade in the palette that I don't really see a use for, but definitely I see a use for this yellow, the yellow corrector, orange corrector, and the rest of them. So we're gonna go ahead and flip to the other side here to the powder. Let's go ahead and set up under our eyes with the yellow powder. I love a good yellow powder. And this one is very, very finely milled. It's not too ashy or chalky. It sinks right into the skin. I like that it doesn't just sit on my skin. I feel like some powders I put on, it just kind of sits on and then it just looks, you know, super cakey. And we don't want to be looking cakey. Then I'm going to take some of this, and I am getting a little bit of kick up when I dip my brush in here, but it's not anything that's going to make me not use the palette because it's not chalky. So I don't mind a little kick up, but when it's chalky, that's when I'm like, no, can't do it, but this is perfect. All right, then next I'm just going to go ahead and set the rest of my face really quickly. Translucent powder. I typically always put on translucent powder. If I am cream contouring for some reason, I will put translucent powder over it before I put my contour powder on it, just simply because it'll make the contour powder really, really rough to blend out. Like it'll make it super, super tough. So just setting it first with the translucent powder is going to help the contour powder just kind of glide right on top of it with no problems. Then the start of the show here, we are going to go in with, I would generally use the lightest shade on me just simply because in the pan, this does not look dark, but it is. I will swatch it for you. So I'm just going to take my finger here and I'm just going to rub it in. And that's what it looks like on my finger. And I'm just going to rub this on my hand, and that's the shade on my hand. So that's pretty deep. And then the other shade here, I'll rub it in the pan. So this is the lighter of the two. So just for the sake of the video, I'll use both of them. So I'm gonna start off with the lighter one. This is a dupe for the NARS Eda brush. It says NARS. I believe the real Eda brush costs about 50 bucks. And listen, that's ridiculous to me. I don't see me ever paying that much for a brush. That does not make any sense. I'm like, 50 bucks for a brush when I can buy foundation, eyeshadow palettes. Like, yeah, no, not feasible. But this is off of Amazon. I think it was about 2 bucks. So, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and just dip right on into this powder here. And I'm just going to press. So this is with the lighter one, which for me is just like the perfect contour because like I said, I do not like a strong contour. And as you can see, I'm pressing just simply because especially if you have on any foundation, if you kind of like do the whole method like this, if you have on liquid foundation where you just kind of swirl it in or rub it back and forth, you can really disrupt your foundation. So just kind of patting it into the skin is going to help you not move around your foundation too much. So that's the lighter. So now we're going to come over here into the darker shade. That's so pigmented. I love how pigmented these are. And they blend out very, very easily. They didn't give me any trouble when I was using them on my clients over the weekend. It just went right on. See, for me, this is a little too dark. I feel like this looks muddy on me. But if you are deeper than me, I feel like the darker shade will work best. It's just nice that brands are actually coming out with options that are deep enough for women of color. Because, you know, sometimes it's like, we on the struggle bus. It's like, oh, so y'all don't think we wear makeup? So yeah, this is a little too dark for me, but I just want for you guys to kind of get the gist of what it looks like. So I'm just going to take a brush here and I can swirl that around like so. I'm going to take a little bit of the lighter and I'm just going to contour this massive forehead of mine. It's more like a 12 head. Y'all, my forehead is large and in charge. But, I mean, embrace it. It is what it is. Now, I am swirling into my hairline just simply because I didn't take any, you know, foundation or anything in there. And I always like to make sure I get a really good blend in there. I have the tendency to get what I call bronzer helmet, from where I don't blend it out enough, and you can see like the ring on my forehead. Alright, so I'm gonna throw on a little bit of blush really quick. So last but certainly not least for this palette is going to be this highlight shade here. Oh, well, first let me swatch for you the cream highlight. So I'm not a huge fan of the cream highlighter. It just doesn't really look like much. It looks pretty ashy on me. So that one I don't really see a use for. But the powder one, I'm not a highlighter junkie, but this. So in the pan, it looks like kind of like this pinky, it looks like a pale pink with gold flecks, like a rose gold type situation. But once this is on the face, it's like, wow, it's so pretty. That's gorgeous. This is actually a highlighter that I don't mind. And I got a little overzealous there, but that's okay, you know. We'll just blend that out. Y'all know I love my inner tear duct highlight, so here it comes. Okay, so let me put on some bottom lash mascara and a lip color, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, all finished up. This is what my face is looking like. So let me get into the review portion of this and final thoughts. Okay, so I feel like when companies come out with products, it's either a user-friendly product, basically meaning that anyone can use it, from the, you know, basic consumer to an artist, and then they have products that I feel like are kind of geared more towards the artistry standpoint. I love Anastasia by Beverly Hills. I feel like the cream contour palette that she has is definitely geared towards more of the artistry level versus, you know, the consumer. I say this because of all of the shade ranges that you have in here. You have 3 contour shades, and then you have a corrector and 2 highlighting options. Now, think about this when you're buying products, especially when it comes to palettes like this. If, let's say this one has 6 different combinations in here. If you know, looking at this palette, that you're only going to use 2 out of 6, it's probably not the best buy. It's not the smartest buy financially, because you're wasting your money. You get what I'm saying? Where, so when you have a product that's similar to this one, where it's kind of like, okay, well, I could use either one of the contouring. I have a brightening setting powder, a blush, and highlight. This makes sense to me as far as being consumer friendly. So when breaking this down, the Urban Decay palette here is like, you have cream here. Obviously, the cream palette, the cream wells are much more smaller than Anastasia Beverly Hills. I believe the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette is $40, which is a great product, which is a great price for all the product that you do have. But then you have this here, and it's like, yes, the pan sizes are smaller, however, you also get a powder with it as well. So when you think about it, it's like, okay, $45 for this is not a bad buy. $45, you get creams, you get powders, you really can't go wrong with it. I feel like this is a palette that is great for someone that is maybe looking for a new contour highlighting palette, if you are new to makeup, if you're a makeup junkie, or if you're an artistry, if you're a makeup artist. Is this a palette that I think is actually worth the money? Absolutely. I am very, very, very impressed with this palette. Like I said, you know, just kind of think about it when you're buying something, because I've done it before where I've bought things and I'm looking like, okay, let's say it has like this one has 6 shade, 8 shade options. If you're not going to use at least half of them, don't waste your money. You know, we gotta be financially smart when we're buying this makeup, because you know makeup is expensive, right guys? So as far as I'm concerned, this palette is Amber approved. This is a woman of color friendly palette. If you are my shade or deeper, this will work for you. If you are a little lighter than me, this actually might be too dark for you, so you might have to go to the one underneath it, which I think is like the light to medium. All right guys, so that is going to finish up this tutorial and product review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you think you're going to try this, or if you have tried it, please let me know your thoughts on it guys, and I will see you on my next video.